Mr.
So, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Today we are having an important session for the group YouthPawa and connecting with Farm Conservation CBO based in Kilifi, Mombasa. The two partners are looking at opportunities like Earth observation to use for monitoring mangroves and other blue economy resources. So I pass the microphone to Enoch and Silas respectively.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Enoch Kideka. I'm part of FarmCom organization and project department. Also, I'm in Youth Power as a project lead. Yeah, I'm really looking forward for today's session. Yeah, and wow, the whole concept behind digital art Africa in restoration and also in our works that we have been spearheading. Thank you very much. I pass the microphone to Mr. Silas. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Enoch, for giving me the microphone. My name is Silas Mwambegu. I'm the Chief Executive Officer or the Chairperson of Farm Conservation CBO. This CBO was started a few years back, late in 2022, but we were not registered yet. So by early this year in March is when we had the opportunity to register it. So now it is a fully registered organized CBO, which is operating in Kilifi County. We have a lot of, we have like 3 projects. We have a farming project at Kirepwe, which is in Kilifi North Sub-County, around Gede area. We are also having another project at Zowerani, which is called the Zowerani Land Restoration Project. And the third one is at Moriani. Moriani, that is where we now have the mangrove conservation project. So I'm glad that I'm here. And some of my colleagues are going to join us in a short while. And I wish to say thank you. May I pass this to Roslyn Okako.
Thank you so much. I'm Roslyn Okako, and thank you for the invitation. I was invited by Silas, and I'm from Tuungane CBO, and I'm here to network and learn more with you people. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Silas, for the connection, and Enoch and Roslyn, you're in the right place and the right time. So just to give an overview of Digital Africa and how we're using it to unlock the promise of tomorrow. This is a program which was started the last 4 years, and it's funded by Australian government and Helmsley Trust. And we are working with partners across the continent to make sure that we provide free data that will empower some of the work you do. So some of the missions more of empowering decision making, and also looking at the diversity and inclusion, small programs, big programs, and everyone, so that we leave no one behind. So our partners, the program is based on Amazon Web Services. It's a cloud-based platform and AWS. So Amazon Web Services, they are based in Cape Town, and our program is also based on the technology of Open Data Cube. So with Amazon Web Services being a cloud platform, it means you can access Digital Earth Africa from anywhere in the world. So this is also empowering our stakeholders to move from restrictions of hardware to actually now just accessing the internet and looking at the various continental services that we've developed. The program has worked with implementing partners across the continent, and the value has that of connecting more countries, more impact stories, as well as validation of some of the continental services that we have. So looking at our farm conservation and other platforms, we'll be more interested in the coastline service as well as other services that are available, and seeing how they can support some of your work. So our partners in the continent, we have Afrigist, this based in Nigeria, Africa Regional Institute of Geospatial Science and Technology. We have our partner Agrime Regional Center based in Niger. We have our partner in Senegal, Center Suivi Ecologie. We have our partner in Nairobi, covering East and South Africa, Regional Center for Mapping for Resources and Development. And also we have a partner in North Africa, Observation du Sahel, called OSS. And also we have a program we work closely with called the FarmCBO, which tries to bring all these programs together. And that is very key message to our work, that we work with more partners so that we leave no one behind. So the platform is providing satellite data, which is in analysis ready format. This one is from space agencies like US Geological Service. We also have a European Space Agency. From the European Space Agency side, Digital South Africa is providing the Sentinel-1 and 2, which are at 10-meter spatial resolution. And on the other side of the Landsat, at 30 meters, it goes back to 1985, which is very nice information for historical information. Our platform and the services we have is helping countries respond to some of their national development priorities and also sustainable development goals, and making sure that we empower all decision making in different sectors. So these are just some of the examples of how our services have been used, looking at the coastlines, looking at crops, looking even at mountains, and even looking at the availability of water from space. So one of the continental services Digital South Africa developed was the auto observation from space based on that satellite Landsat, going back as early as 1985. So you have over 35 years of data, very key, and it could show you water availability from space. On food security side, Digital South Africa used Sentinel-2 data at 10 meters from the European Space Agency to develop something on crop mask, which gives you information or possibility of even doing more analysis like crop productivity as well as crop time mapping based on the field data that you have. The coastline is a very important service which was developed recently and is borrowed from the Digital Earth Australia partners, and now Digital Earth Africa Coastlines was co-developed with partners in Africa, having centers of vehicle in Senegal and the Regional Center for Mapping in Kenya. This is one of its kind in Africa and gives you variability and seeing areas of hotspots and stretches from the year 2000 to 2023. Very key for our coastline areas, looking at hotspots, rates of change, and even yearly shoreline change. So some of the examples of the Digital South Africa coastline, you can see the dynamics of mangroves in different countries, very key to also informing their coastal management plans. The water body service was borrowed from the water observation from space, but now specifically this one is showing individual water bodies in Africa, which are going more than 700,000, and is very key to actually now visualize and see how some of the wetlands we hear maybe disappeared or resurfaced, or what is the status of our wetlands in different countries. So with this service, our partners are looking at wetland workflow, improving that so that some countries can have at least something on their wetlands, like an ecosystem atlas. Digital South Africa is working with partners across the continent to highlight some of the work, and possibly soon Enoch and Co will be sharing how they're using the platform. So some of the stories are from mangroves in East Africa, in Tanzania, Zanzibar. We also have stories of protecting and conservation of the wetlands in Sabaki area, which was done by Kemfrey, and also other stories that we have, including others. So this one specifically for Zanzibar was driven by the point that the lecturers were trained on the Digital South Africa platform, and also they trained their students who are part of the YouthPawa network. And with this partnership, they were able to work with the communities to update their mangroves, and using our platform to see where the mangroves have been and where they have changed. And we'll share the link to the video that you can actually see how this is quite a story of demonstrating from space to village, empowering communities, and the communities working with the students to actually show areas of restoration, and even giving them the awareness that they need to conserve the mangroves for a better tomorrow. So Digital South Africa has partnered with partner Esri, where our coastline service is taken on this platform, Africa Job Portal. And here now you can click by country and see how the situation is. Either there's been a growth of the coastline or retraction, or how much vulnerable these communities are based on this platform. Digital South Africa values diversity and inclusion, very key, and has worked closely with the youth mappers through the Youth Mapper Technical Challenge, and also working with teams like Africa Women in GIS. And also today we are happy to also work with people in the conservation biodiversity field, because this is where there's the diversity. These are people who've gone beyond their normal work to actually work closely with communities and come up with projects that support their various communities. So the African Women in Jazz is a virtual organization working in different countries. At the last engagement we had a winner from Nigeria and South Africa. And this year we are planning to have a similar one, mentorship program, which is very key to make sure we bridge the gaps in Earth observation data. So Digital South Africa is also cognizant of working closely with the youth, and this is just some of the engagements with the youth mappers in Kenya through their summit and other youth mappers that we have in the continent. This youth mappers is very key because it brings the young career persons from the universities, from different programs, and working closely together with them. Access to the Digital South Africa platform is quite seamlessly easy, a free access. We have the Digital South Africa map interface and the sandbox interface. And also you can access this from your other GIS software, which could be QGIS or Esri. And also we have a free online platform where we have introduction courses that your teams can follow up, and we can see how they're benefiting from these courses, because they'll receive a certificate of participation. And also with the knowledge, they'll be able to do much more work for their communities. So Digital South Africa working closely with the Esri, where our data is also on the Africa Geo portal, with the example I showed you for the coastline. It's just one of them. Then also the other ways that you can access the Digital South Africa side, especially when we work with the young developers in doing some of their web applications. So I'll be able to show you just a small demo about the Digital Africa map and how easy it is to access on the Digital Africa website, digitalearth.org. And on this, you click on the platform and you're able to look at the Digital Africa map. There are many resources here. And once you click on Digital Africa map, you'll be able to see this web application, just like Google Earth, Google Earth Pro, but now free resources on Digital Africa. You could even upload some of your data sets. This is just showing you an example of Nairobi, having a 2D or 3D, and you can add some of the data sets. As you can see, data sets on the water, very key for your work, and also daily images, which are captured every 5 days, and also cognizant of the cloud cover. So you're able to move from image to image, which is already pre-processed. That is the beauty of this. You can also do comparison studies to see change in the cities or some of the areas where you're monitoring your mangroves, and also see maybe if the growth of some of the towns and townships have affected your areas, or how much you're supposed to work with the communities to inform them what is happening every day or every week or monthly or yearly. And also get historical knowledge from the communities who hold the knowledge called citizen-generated data, because with their knowledge, they'll be able to tell you how things were, and you can actually correlate with the images or even inform your research in terms of the work that you're doing. So this is just showing you the growth of the city over time. And you can also do some other, like look at change of vegetation at different times. It's very key for your work. And there are many opportunities, as you can see from this observation. You can look at some of the forest or some of the changes over time. You can even do some differences. You can even export, etc., etc. So these are just some of the possibilities that you have on the Digital South Africa map. There are many. It's just for the purposes just of demonstration. You could also go to some of the lakes and see how the water observation from space is in making some, how people are being informed, how's the Lake Baringo situation, what did we have some floods, how was the situation 2 years ago, or how was the situation in the 1980s. So it gives you a lot of time series information. And of course, with the colors, blue is water, and the areas where the colors are changing towards red and brown is where areas have been dry. So they've been relatively affected over time. So then also with this data, you can export some of your results, or you can share a link that you could share with your friends, either on WhatsApp or an email or somewhere else. So this is a good thing with the platform collaborative. On the other side, on the sandbox, now it allows for your developers to be able to come up with some applications, but we already have a set of application notebooks that you can follow. So this one allows for free registration with your email. And after that, you'll be able to use the sandbox. So this is just a small demonstration on how to use this sandbox. And it's very informative because then you'd be able to see where you can choose, and also some of the notebooks you'll work with and your teams, and even maybe introduce maybe follow-up trainings like the one today to actually show you some of the notebooks you could use, especially the one for mangroves, or even the one for coastlines, or even another one that you wish to see based on your requirements. So it's also that Digital South Africa acknowledges that we have diversity of users, and the problems that we have are also dynamic. So keeping that in track and making sure everyone is kept informed. So that was just the sandbox, and also some of the resources we have on the sandbox is that we have specific folders with different examples, and some of the notebooks are able to capture something on water, crop, mangroves, etc., etc. So we have that diversity of opportunities to connect. So we also have tutorials every week, Wednesday afternoon in English and French, and we normally share the topics on the Digital Africa social media channel. And in terms of agriculture, you'll be interested maybe in looking at crop health, or even looking at monthly crop conditions. And these are some of the examples. For example, looking at crop health somewhere around Mwea, you could see the phenology over time. So you can plot some of the results based on time. You could also forecast vegetation, what is likely to happen in the next 1 or 2 months. You could also look at vegetation. This is vegetation animation with rainfall, because as we know, the more rainfall we have, the better vegetation we are going to get in certain locations. Then also we have other tools for monitoring the vegetation, including changing vegetation or even vegetation phenology. So the phenology is where we look at certain crops and we look at them at certain dates or certain resources. So with crops, we have the planting and end of planting, etc., etc. Then also we could do vegetation anomaly at country level at 30 meters. We used to use Landsat, and now you can use with Sentinel-2. Then we have some tools which can help you monitor water resources, as well as looking at flood risk mapping. So the key message is that the Digital South Africa will help you monitor some of the wetlands, as well as some of the water bodies of the lakes, looking at the extent using Landsat or Sentinel-2. And also we are moving towards looking at monitoring some of these water bodies, looking at algae content, chlorophyll. So this is an example of water observation from space. This is an example of Lake Olobulost. And you can see the way it has changed over time. Its extent over time has changed. And on this other side, it's just showing you Lake Baringo going through different phases. And especially in the 2019 September and 2020 September to 21, we experienced some floods around Lake Baringo area. So these phenomena you can see from space. This other one was the one this year around April, May, we had a lot of rain, resulting to flooding. This is an example of Masinga Reservoir, where you can see on the eastern side, we saw some areas being impacted by floods. And this particular example was trying to show you how you could just access the Digital Africa map and access the water bodies as a layer, and then also add now the water observation from space, and look at different times and how it was impacted. And you can see, as I was showing you that example, on the left is an image of before the floods, and the other one is after in first week of May. So that's just the possibilities of showing you what is possible, and even what has been the extent over time of this area. So those are key messages. And this is the Masinga Dam area. You can see using the water body service. the changes, and even when it was constructed, and even times when we had the lowest water levels, drought. And I think that time we experienced a lot of power blackouts, and then the situation has changed over time. Then on the water quality, we can see using the Sentinel tool, we have a band for looking at chlorophyll. I can give you just some highlights from the different colors. Blue is good, but red maybe is towards where there's some water turbidity or algae on the surface. Then also we have one of the tools we worked with our partner in Nigeria, Africis, to help monitoring of floods. And this tool just shows you some areas of impact and some areas which will be likely impacted, and you can use it. Then we have now specific tools which address most of your work, looking at the mangrove analysis and even coastal erosion. We can look at some of the examples with you. So with the coastal mangroves, we can look at certain areas using one of the notebooks. This is an example around Milda, Watamu area, actually Milda Creek. And from this area, we could see how the mangroves have changed. Some of them have gained, some of them have remained stable. And this is just a scenario of an ideal situation. In other areas you'll go, you'll see most areas have lost mangroves because of the waves and the different cyclone, etc., etc. Then on the Digital Africa coastline, this one is the one which is really useful. And with this one, you can see like the coast of Mombasa. We can see if you zoom in some dates and look at how the coastline has changed over time. So we also have some tools on urbanization as well, looking at the change and the index as well. This one is just showing you the growth of the cities. You'll do also the same for Mombasa and actually see how things are changing. And cross-cutting notebooks, we have one on the ship detection, another one on land cover, and also we have the free training courses in English and French. And also we normally recommend you start with the introduction to the sandbox, then we move to the other courses respectively. And this is just showing you an outline of some of the courses, like the coastline will show you something on the coastal erosion and the mangroves. And then we host the Digital Africa live sessions in English and French every week. And this is just the messages, and just maybe trying to stop and show you some small presentation of the Digital Africa map, so that you can see how interactive it is based on our assessments and also based on the feedback of everybody. So when I go to the Digital South Africa, you'll see this one. This is the Digital South Africa map. And on this one now, you can see we can just move to Mombasa, which is relevant to where we are. And I think this is just an example. So we could actually move to where our colleagues are based, somewhere around there, and in Kilifi specifically. And now we could even add some of the data sets and see how they respond. So this is just an example of the coastline data. You can add it and see how we visualize the coastline around Kilifi area. And you can even zoom further to the, the level of at least around 10 meters. And you can see the changes of the coastline over time. So it looks fairly okay, and different areas would have different assessments. So when you move now closer to areas where you could see some red areas, maybe showing you an indication of areas which really changed over time, you could actually come to such a point and actually even do a measurement of how the coast has changed around the same area in case someone was planning to live near the beach. Some of the areas have changed more than 50 meters. In other areas, we could see there were hotspot areas. You could even see over 100 meters, which could maybe affect some of your conservation work or, resilience efforts. We could move to other parts of the coast as well, just trying to see how the tool is working. And the other part of South Coast, you could see some of the areas have changed over time. Just trying to get a measurement and see some areas have changed based on what is relative, and also moving to other areas. So this is a tool which can really help you. When in South Coast of Msambweni, you can actually see in case you had projects there, how the dynamic the cost is quite dynamic, could really affect most of our mangrove, activities, monitoring, and also just next to coast, Mombasa, we could just, Mtwapa area, see the changes over time. And also the other part, if now we're in Kilifi, we could just now see if we could also load some images of the area and see if we can capture images every week and how the situation is. So this one now you can actually add images captured, and these are at 10 meters. And we can filter by this particular location. So here we are most likely to get an image of, this was 10th, this was just 4 days ago. Then we can move between some dates. And as Silas had mentioned, it's really quite sunny around this time. So with this also, you can have an indication of the coastline. You can see based on the colors. You can also do the comparison. You can have different dates as early as 2017 January, just to see the comparison of your area. So that time there was cloud cover. But this is January 16th, and the other one is 2024. Just showing you the comparison of your areas and how much things have changed over time, even developments, and maybe some areas around your mangrove which could have really changed. And this will be the situation. You could also add the data on the water as well, just to see how the situation is. So this one we could do the annual water. And this one now we could change the legend. But you can see that it moves inland towards the Kilifi Delta, the estuary. You can see some areas were wet, some areas now are dry. So it means sometimes you could see areas which are maybe flooded based on the situation. So in the case of Tana, you can actually go to Garissa and see how people are impacted, and this how it really affects most of the communities and different areas. So this is quite a nice tool, and today was just to give you a small orientation. You could be in Lamu, you could be in anywhere. You could look at the situation. You could also look at the coastline as well, among other tools. So this is the Digital Africa map. So here we are looking at the coastlines. They are fairly okay. And you can see the distances between the different colors, areas which have gained and areas which have lost. And most of the areas, the coast area has really eroded over time. We are talking about at least 30, 50 meters. And in some countries, you might go and you find over 100 meters, especially in the north, based on the different cyclones which are affecting the areas. And also just telling you that we have all the resources, including access to the Digital Africa channel on the videos. Even today's will be put here. You can share with your viewers, access to the sandbox, as well as the learning resources where we have all the courses in English and French. When you discover new is when now you'll have all the courses in your end. And once you click on one, you can always go and you can view the course or the enroll, and you can even view your progress on how much you've viewed, and even you can get a certificate of participation. Then we have the user guide, which is step by step, and of course, we are available to provide you with the help. Then also we have the help desk as well, so you can reach us as also the email that I shared with you for the training, the user guide, and also acknowledging that it takes some time just to to get to use the platform, but you guys will be the champions who take this platform to the people, and also you may work with the youth, different partners, and these are just some of our contacts, and also wishing to stop here for any comments I would record.